Hello, fellow YouTubers to the channel. As you can see, I'm in my uniform because I'm actually getting ready to do a class here soon, but I wanted to knock out a review that I was meaning to do yesterday night, but I felt like I needed a day to really go over in my mind how I felt about this particular movie. And if you notice my clever tag, it is going to be on the film Glass. I saw this last night, and I actually ran into some coworkers, and we all went to see it. And as we talked about it, and I really stopped and I thought about it, my review kind of came into shape. Now, part of me wanted to be biased, but the part of me that does these videos for people who actually watch this and take my criticisms seriously, I wanted to make a non-biased view at a movie that clearly has a lot of flaws, no matter how much you don't want it to. And that was one of these movies. So I'm going to do an overview, my pros and cons, and then overall what I think of the film and whether it's worth seeing or just plain skipping it. So first off, let's go with the overview, which is if you are not one who has seen these movies before, they're actually a trilogy of movies, and it follows the series Unbreakable, which the surprise twist for Split was that it was connected to this universe. So it goes Unbreakable, Split, and Glass. Now, Glass is the closing chapter to all three of these movies, bringing all of our characters together, and essentially is about David Dunn and Samuel Jackson as Glass's return into the franchise, and kind of telling you what Bruce Willis has been doing while this was going on, and then him hunting James McAvoy's character, Crumb, aka the Horde, or the Beast. And it kind of picks up, according to the timeline, maybe 2 or 3 months after the events of the first movie, with Bruce Willis now getting a pattern for the James McAvoy's character Crumb, and kind of following where he's going. I assume there's been a little bit of time because there's been more killings after this, and it's kind of their chase, and then they get captured, which, if you've seen the trailers, I'm not spoiling anything, they get captured and end up in the asylum called Ravenhill Memorial, where Bruce Willis meets up with Samuel L. Jackson from the first film, aka Glass. And that's primarily where this movie is set. Now, I will be doing a spoiler review, but for right now, I want to do a non-spoiler review because this movie is very fresh, and should there be someone on my channel who hasn't seen it, I don't want to give anything away because I feel like reviews are subjective and that I can only give you what my opinion is, but all in all, you might enjoy it, whereas I didn't like it. And that's not to say I didn't like it. However, there are a couple of things that really drag this movie down from being the film that we had all hoped. The first half of the film felt pretty decent. Now, I had some of the people that I was with, they kind of said it was slow or whatever, but it was watchable. We all came to that conclusion. It was enthralling, and it really captured your attention, especially Bruce Willis tracking the Beast, and of course James McAvoy doing his characters, and he's got 4 new girls, and they're being held hostage, so you're kind of switching between both perspectives. And for me, that worked. And then you get to the middle of the movie, and it kind of just slows to a crawl. And there's a subplot where it's building to this big battle between James McAvoy and Bruce Willis. And I don't know whether because of budget restraints or M. Night just decided to go into a completely different direction, but it makes this big, epic showdown like inevitable. It's going to happen, and then it kind of doesn't. It's just a standard run-in-the-mill kind of melee between the two main characters. Now, for my pros, sadly, I'd have to say James McAvoy. As always, he's just a stellar actor, and the voice that he gives his characters is just amazing. Now, a friend of mine said that he should have stuck with the few core characters because he jumps between different personalities we haven't seen. But for me, it didn't bother me. I always, even in Split, one thing that I enjoyed was watching the way he changed. And when you look at him, his mannerisms and his movements mimic the different shifts in the personality. Everyone, you could tell which is which because they all got distinct movements, voices, speech patterns, how they react to certain situations that he just pulls off so cleverly. Honestly, if you took Samuel L. Jackson out of this and just made about Bruce Willis and James McAvoy, it might have been a lot better without having to throw in the extra stuff. But he's a big pro. The other pro I'd say would be the callbacks connecting the films. There's a few returning people. I don't want to give anything away. If you've watched the previews, you can guess one or two of them. But there is a third character that comes back, which I thought was a nice touch in continuing the connection between the movies. And also, the certain scenes of the fights, certain fights, were pretty cool. I always appreciate the whole walking up the wall, side of the wall thing. I still think that's creepy as hell. But on the whole, those are pretty much the few good points. Now for the cons, which I've been dreading. First and foremost, Bruce Willis's performance I can kind of understand. David Dunn has always been kind of a flat character to me, although in Unbreakable, it felt more personal and it felt like he was more invested. This one felt like a sequel, like he was just there and just doing the character, and there was really no progression in the character. I mean, he loses a lot of people, but I never once really experienced it through emotion. And it's really Jane Paulson is in this. If any of you watch American Horror Story, or Sarah Paulson, my bad. If you watch American Horror Story, you'll know she plays essential characters in that series, and for the most part, she's pretty decent, but her character was completely useless. Samuel L. Jackson, even though the film is called Glass, you really don't see him till the latter half of the movie, and his parts in the film are kind of like, it's just like he just threw them in just to close up a story loop. And this is where the movie falls flat for me, is that things that happen at the ending have not been connected to make continuity. And what I mean by that is that certain events that take place never really were hinted to, mentioned at, or even like thrown in any of the movies. So when you get to the ending and you get to what happens and how it happens, it's not even a plot twist. It's just like a giant gaping plot hole that they needed to fill, and they just said, okay, we're going to do this, this, and this to make it believable why the characters went in a certain direction. So, I mean, it really does a terrible job in setting up for this finale ending, because in a lot of ways something happens that I thought should have happened, but how they execute it is poor. And this is a problem with M. Night Shyamalan as a director. I feel like he's been known for having a plot twist, and subconsciously he feels like there has to be one. But where his movies fall flat is he throws a nonsensical twist that makes no coherent sense to the story. So you're going, well, how did we get from here to here with no rhyme or reason? So, I mean, I gotta say, if you've never honestly seen Unbreakable, then you could go into this movie and watch it and maybe get a different perspective and a different appreciation than most people who have seen the films will get. And if you've seen the movies, as much as it pains me, it's going to be a big letdown because the ending goes nowhere where you expect it, and that's not in a good way. And for me, M. Night is really losing his credibility as a director because of these mishandling of the franchises that he has. And, he came back strong with Visit and Split, and now he just threw all of that goodwill out the window. And who knows if his next film is going to be able to. I guess it'll determine the box office sales. But, yeah, I've been highly disappointed with 2019. You guys have already heard my review on the Escape Room. So 2 very disappointing films to start the year off. So next, I'll be returning, thankfully, with not a film, but an oldie. I'm going to be doing a look back at the Daniel Craig James Bonds, which I appreciate, some don't, and I look forward to those debates. And I will strongly encourage you to post comments about how you feel, what your favorite James Bond is, and so forth. But I'm going to do an in-depth review on all of the Bonds up to now because we have Bond 25 coming out, which I am super stoked, and I can't wait for it to be released. But once again, this is your favorite moviegoer, Lee Cole, or Mr. Cole, whichever you prefer. And I will see you the next time I am at the movies. Thank you all for tuning in. If you like me, please press subscribe down below. Hit the buzzer to get notifications on my channel, and tell all of your friends about this because I'm trying to get my views up for these videos so I can make even more. I'll also be releasing some television shows. The Punisher just got released on Netflix, and I'm currently watching that now. So I'll be doing a review because it's 13 episodes. I might break it and do a half and half, so maybe 5 episodes, and then the remaining half of the season afterwards. So thank you very much, and once again, have a great day.